Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber, joined here on set by trial attorney Brad Micklin. We're going to break down the biggest live trials and legal stories in the news today. We're going to be live in two different cases, two different courtrooms, and we have to recap a major development in one of the cases that we've been covering. So thanks for joining us. Lot to cover. Let's get started right now. Okay, so you heard it. He was sentenced to life in prison, but he is eligible for parole in 30 years, 2049, when he's 69 years old. Brad, is that the appropriate punishment here? What do you make of it?
Well, it's not the appropriate punishment for killing a child, but it's the appropriate punishment. It's probably the maximum punishment they could give for the offense he pled to. Now, since he pled, they took capital murder off of the table, so they had wide latitude, but that's the most that they could give him.
Do you think the defense regrets what happened here? I mean, in one sense, they were risking it all. They could have had a murder charge, and who knows how that would have worked out. I mean, he would have faced, ultimately, if he was convicted, life in prison without the possibility of parole. This was something that they risked, life in prison, but he could have gotten much less. What do you think the defense is thinking?
It's hard to say because he was actually a decent witness, but he has so many bad stories that it seemed obvious that he killed this child and covered it up. And because of the cover-up, it helped him avoid the potential of capital murder trials. So I think they had to weigh a lot of issues, and they took the safe way out just to make sure he didn't get life.
Well, it didn't work out so well for him. I'm also joined here by trial attorney Kelly Hyman. Kelly, great to see you. What's your perspective on this verdict?
Good morning. Nice to see you. It's a really sad situation when such a young child dies. But ultimately the jury found him guilty of the crime and felt that life in prison was the charge that they felt they should charge him with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was that much of a shock, but I'll tell you what, the prosecution in their closing argument had a lot to go with. So I just want to turn to that right now, and we'll dissect what they were able to do right and maybe where the defense fell a little flat. Okay, so this has been a really remarkable development in the Matthews case, but I am getting word right now we have to jump into our other trial, the Scott Nelson case, because again, we believe the defendant is or will about to take the stand. There's some development. Let's go see what's happening in court right now. Okay, so this is an interesting development. Brad, he's being asked these series of questions because in anticipation of him testifying, and he's asked about whether or not there's other evidence that he knows about that can't be admitted. What is this about?
Well, the judge is just trying to make sure he knows that he's giving up his right to remain silent. But when the defendant made that statement, I think in his mind, because he believes or wants to convey that he's innocent, that he's suggesting there would be other proofs or other evidence, but I don't think there really is.
Yeah, okay, I was going to get a question from Kelly. Kelly, stand by. We're going to jump back live and learn more. Wow, okay, so the defendant is about to take the stand. Kelly, I want to get a quick comment for you. What can we expect?
It's interesting. He said he's only going to say one sentence, and he's doing this against the advice of his attorneys. They do not want him to testify because it's going to open up Pandora's box. I mean, maybe he's saying that he's going to say that I have mental health issues. We'll have to wait and see.
Brad, you had a comment what you thought that sentence might be.
The only thing you could say is, I didn't do it.
He didn't do it, but what about his confession tape from yesterday, that audio recording where he went into detail about how he killed this woman?
I think that's the only reason he's taking a stand. I think he has to come up and say he didn't do it, or he didn't make that statement, or was coerced. There's no other choice.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will hopefully be live with the defendant's testimony. Stay tuned. Oh my gosh. This could be one of the most incredible things I've ever seen on our network. The defendant basically confessed on the stand to murdering Jennifer Fulford, explained his rationale for doing it, just implicated himself in the attempted murder of another person. Brad, I've never seen anything like, when they talk about a defendant confessing on the stand in law school as like this kind of remarkable thing that you want, the prosecution, are they all high-fiving underneath the table right now?
This is like the one thing that you wait for, because when he first got up, I was all excited. I thought he was going to say, oh, this guy did it, it wasn't me. But they said, no, I did it, it was me, but it was his fault.
Yeah, Kelly, this level of anger that he has towards the government was redirected toward an innocent person, Jennifer Fulford.
Yes, I am absolutely speechless by this. The fact that, he implicated himself and then also for another crime as well. And also the fact that he takes no responsibility for his action, and he's angry at someone else. There could be some serious mental health issues here.
I was just going to think that. If he's going to come on there and really doesn't think he did anything wrong, calling Jennifer Fulford collateral damage, wasn't there room for a mental health defense of some sort? Because I don't know. I'd have to look at what the law is in Florida on this. But usually it's if someone doesn't know the difference between right and wrong or can't correct their actions to do so to follow the law, that's insanity. Why is that not an option here?
Well, he was found to be competent before.
But not insane. It's different, isn't it?
I don't think so in this kind of a case. Plus, it was clearly premeditated because he bought the duct tape and knife weeks in advance.
Why is he on the stand right now? Why is he doing this?
Well,
why is his attorneys allowing him to do this?
Well, they have no choice. If you have a defendant who says, I want to testify, and you heard him with the colloquy with the judge, he said, I want to be heard despite all the warnings, and that his attorneys were against him. He can't stop that.
Okay, well, let's jump back live. I don't want to miss any moment of this. Wow, does this just keep getting worse and worse or better and better? I'm not even sure. Kelly, I know we have to sign you off. I just want your thoughts on what we're seeing. Is he just asking to be killed? Is he just asking to be ultimately convicted and go to the death penalty? I mean, what is happening here?
Yes, Jesse, this is unbelievable to see this. The fact that someone is under oath and testifies and basically says that they killed someone. But it's interesting. He keeps saying there's something wrong with my brain. 3 times he keeps saying this. He doesn't remember stuff. It's giving a very strong argument that there's some serious mental health issues, that he wasn't in the right state of mind when he committed this crime.
Well, we're going to have to see what his defense does. Not a fun job being his defense attorney. Kelly, thanks so much for coming on. We have to jump back live right now. Wow. Okay, so the defense had nothing to ask of him under redirect. I mean, what could they have said? Was this a nightmare for them? This guy takes the stand, says he kills Jennifer Fulford, more about why he felt he was in the right to do it. He couldn't control anything, needed to do it because he was angry at the government, angry that his federal probation officer kicked him out of the house where he was staying, and then he winds up on the street, feels he's justified because he needs to eat food, so he ends up robbing this house and ultimately kills Jennifer Fulford. I'm shocked at what I heard over the last, hour and a half. Your reaction?
There's no way to rehabilitate that. I mean, he was such a bad witness, and this is why you don't testify. And he keeps talking about this mental defect, this injury that he claims he had. But Florida says, if you believe that you're morally justified, but you know it's against society's norms, then you're sane. And he's saying exactly that. He felt it was justified because he was on the street. You hit a dog enough, he's going to bite you. So he clearly says he knew what he was doing and it was wrong.
All this talk about I wasn't in my right mind, I couldn't control myself, that's not going to work for an insanity or a mental health defense.
Well, plus I don't think they raised it because you'd have to put them on notice in the first place. But that's a technicality. His testimony eliminates the ability of that working anyway.
He admits to what he did under cross-examination within the first 30 seconds, but he's continually asked questions by the prosecutor. What were they trying to establish there?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think they were just being overly cautious because it's a death penalty case, and they wanted to make sure to really hit upon things. And then the more that they questioned him, the worse he sounded.
Well, also, I mean, look, in Florida, there's multiple ways to get the first-degree murder charge. It's one, obviously, if it was premeditated. And there's just a little bit back and forth about, I never intended to kill her, I never intended. But then if he were to commit a murder during the course of a kidnapping, that is first-degree murder. And they just trying to fit the pieces in there to say, jury, you have everything that you need?
I think that the prosecutor was just kind of going on what was being said by the defendant. Really didn't have like a path that she was following, which is a little dangerous in a case like this because he admitted the home invasion. So he admitted the crime. I think she's just trying to get more out and hoping he looks as bad as possible. And I think it was unnecessary. I think she takes a little bit of a risk by pushing it this far. Not much, but a little bit.
I mean, I don't know. Was there anything that a jury, is this going to take the jury 15 minutes to convict him?
Yeah, no, they've already made up their mind. He's just such a bad witness, everything about him.
Did he just walk himself to death row?
I think so.
I mean, what can the defense do in a closing argument? What are they going to say? Let's not forget, their opening statement, they really didn't say much. They said, well, these are the rights of a defendant. We ask you to keep an open mind, look at inconsistencies in some of the witness statements. Then they have him testify, What are they going to say in a
I
closing?
think the only thing they can try is to take some of the things he said out of context, like the brain injury, the homeless, being raped in prison, and trying to maybe pull on some heartstrings. But there's just very little they can do.
So even in a penalty phase.
Yeah, I don't think anything's.
Why is this at trial? Why is this at trial?
Well, I'm assuming by the arrogance of the defendant, he wouldn't take a plea.
But he could have still made this statement during a penalty phase, right?
Well, yeah, look, he made the statement to the police. I mean, the fact that there was a confession, it's amazing that this went to trial, but it's the criminal mind. You can't really look for rational thought.
Was he lying on the stand when he was basically saying, oh, you know, my memory's getting foggy now. I'm forgetting details. You think he was lying?
Yeah, because it was at certain times that were favorable, or you could tell he was getting defensive, certain things that he knew he didn't want to have to admit to or acknowledge.
I was a little nervous that he was going to jump off of that stand because he didn't want to be there anymore, and he might have tried to attack someone just to get off the stand. I was a little nervous about that. I mean, his attitude, his demeanor was getting very aggressive. And I mean, how cold can you be? What he was saying, some of the comments that he made were just awful, and we're going to break down everything you just saw. A lot to talk about here in Law and Crime. We'll be right back.